Magic next weekend. He'll be in Hawaii for a wedding, and he has certainly made the most out of this trip to Cleveland. Something just must go right for this guy in Cleveland. Top eight's the Grand Prix, and now he's here crushing the tournament. It's a great city for him.
An adopted son.
Absolutely. A Temple of Abandon will start the finals off. He has a Plains, and he'll pass the turn. Will Merriam back over to Fallen. A Mountain and acceleration, very important.
Very important. Especially on the play, Brad's got to just kind of try to run Ross out of the game. Because once Ross gets his shop set up and he starts making 5-5s and 6-6s, Brad doesn't have Hero's Downfall, Abzon Charm, even Valorous stands to break that up. So Brad's got to turn this game into a pure race, and the mana acceleration is the best way to do it.
Doesn't break Regent's not a bad way to do it either. Merriam has a copy of Hero of Iroas on turn number 2. Now, he can get explosive as well, but for Brad, this is about as good as you can draw it up, honestly. I mean, he's just right out of the gate with a 4/4 flyer.
Exactly. Critter's Claws in hand also. So he may be able to turn this into, a 4-turn game from this point on.
He's got a Defiant Strike. That'll trigger Heroic. Draw a card. Windswept Teeth is what he's found. This is Nordeal Thassa. That'll trigger Heroic too. Now he's going to be coming in the red zone, you have to imagine. Here he comes, 2 cards.
And this right here is why Brad can't mess around.
No, it's a pure damage race. You're absolutely right. Now, the Hero of Iroas enables probably Ross's best draws to be able to win the damage race. Flood Strand and a passing of the turn back to Brad. There's a Wooded Foothills and attack for 4 damage in the air. Now, the question you have to ask yourself, and we'll see if Brad has Crater's Claws here, I believe he does, is if he's going to try to go after the creature, because I think he also has Stormbreath Dragon in his hand. Well, we'll see exactly what he's working with over here.
I think we're going to see in Stormbreath this turn if he had it.
Get him.
Just get him.
Because I'm with you. I'm looking at pure damage race. Crater's Claws doesn't go to creatures. It goes upstairs.
Well, it's worth noting here that if he has another copy of Thunderbreak Region and has a land next turn, that's lethal with Crater's Claws.
That's true.
So that's Brad's response to what Ross just did, is fly over and fireball you.
Yep.
While all of Ross's creatures on the ground look up at the sky.
All right. Almost feels like 2 ships passing in the night.
It is, very much so.
Just, I'm up here, you're down there. Maybe I'll block with my carry added.
Maybe, if you let me chump once, maybe I'll chump once.
Yeah.
And there's no guarantee you even let me chump once. You know what matters a lot in matchups like this? The die roll. Yeah. Because someone's going to die with a bunch of spells in their hands.
Yes, they are.
That's what's most likely to happen here.
This is a matchup, it seems, where Ordeal of Heliod is like a 10 out of 10.
Oh, yeah.
It's so good, this matchup.
And you can see the reservation with Ross cracking that fetch land there, because going to 14 means that Brad no longer even needs a land to finish off the game next turn with Crater's Claws.
Yep.
Ross is aware of that, but if he needs the mana, he needs the mana. There's no choice. But yeah, Ordeal of Heliod, that's going to be a superstar here.
See if Merriam has it. He's got 1 copy in his main deck this weekend. 2 more on the board. That's pretty important, I must say. Ross might want to do a little action here, like a Johnny's Presence. You see he's doing some math now. Maybe a Johnny's Presence, maybe a God's Willing. Just wants to make that Hero of Iroas bigger.
So he's got 7 cards in his hand.
Yep.
And the game is likely to end on either side within 2 turns.
Yep.
That means you just got to cast your stuff.
Yep.
And maybe it's not maximum efficiency, but the worst case scenario is you die with a bunch of spells in your hand you could have cast at some point.
Time to untap. Let's draw a card. Temple of Plenty. And this is really interesting because if Brad ever has a chance to block with that Sylvan Caryatid, get in there. Just block immediately.
Well, not if he's trying to set up a kill next turn.
It's true.
That 1 mana might matter.
It's true. Coming in. 2 cards. A Johnny's Presence, favorite hoplite.
I'm curious to see if Ross is even going to let him jump block.
Yeah. Ross has the ability to cast Dromoka's Command this turn. He's got so many cards in his hand, jeez. Yep. There he goes, carry added. Can Merriam win this race?
Going to be tough. Brad with Corsair Crewfix in hand too, so another potential chump blocker at the ready. Although if Ross is on Dromoka's command, that might result in Brad getting killed if he's trying to block with Corsair.
Favorite hoplite. Fast turn back. Brad quickly untaps and draws his card. Dragons.
Like it.
They're very powerful. And trying to kill one is not really an option since there are 2 Thunderbreak Regents in play.
Yeah. Yeah, Ross certainly cannot target them.
Corsair. Top card. That life may be very important. Haven of the Spirit Dragon. Let's see the next card, Mountain.
So keep in mind, Ross has the ability to use Dromoka's command, make Brad sacrifice an enchantment. That gets the Corsair off the table. That also allows him the flexibility of just putting a counter somewhere as well. And that's another heroic trigger.
Yep. He also has 2 copies of Johnny's Presence in hand right now.
I suspect that Ross has it. So he's got 5, 6, 7, 8 on the table, and then Dromoka's command gets him up to 10. And then we got 2 copies of Ajani's Presence, and each of those are worth 2 points of damage cast because it's +1/+1 and a heroic trigger.
What's interesting here is that land, the card that Ross has to be worried about now is Draconic Roar.
Yes, that's the card I was right about to mention, because if he taps out for Dromoka's command here, and then he gets hit, the favorite hoplite gets hit by Draconic Roar, it's real bad news.
I don't know if he can win then.
Yep, I think he's going to need every piece of this.
There's a forest. And Brad is waiting patiently here.
That's the other interesting play Brad could have made last turn. If he was really worried about Dromoka's command, what he could have done was just Crater's Claws Ross down to 1 and dare Ross to kill him without access to Windswept Heath.
Sure. Here's command.
Which maybe is better to do when Ross has a bunch of cards in his hand. I'm not sure. Again, it's one of those things of which combination of cards are you playing around here.
5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yeah, 2 Johnny's Presences. It should get it done.
Yeah, they're each
He's got them
+2.
both. Yeah.
Dromoka's command is +2. He started off the turn with 8, or when Brad passed the turn, there was 8 in play.
God's willing to draw. Here's a Johnny's Presence target here.
Competitor Kevin Jones. Modern top 8 competitor Kevin Jones. Please come to the top 8 area to the right of the score.
And now the coast is certainly clear. Yep. Another one.
Player Bigelow, if you're in the room, please come up to the stage.
It's time to battle.
Bigelow to the stage.
5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 exactly. Ross Merriam is going to win game number 1 here over Brad Fallon. The race goes to the player on the draw. Bant Heroic wins game number 1 over Green Red Dragons.
Huge deal. I mean, that means that Brad's got to pick up one of these games post-board on the draw to win this match.
Yeah.
Attention players.
Sideboard time. We're going to take a look at Brad's to start things off. I know he's got 2 Anger of the Gods, 2 Arbor Colossus, 2 Ash Cloud Phoenix, a Den Protector, 2 Hornet Nest, a Plummet, 2 Nissa World Waker, a Roast, and a Seismic Rupture.
So Roast is very solid for this matchup. I think Anger of the Gods is probably acceptable with Brad on the play, though on the draw those kind of effects get bad pretty fast. Definitely interested in Hornet Nest, and that's a card that caused Ross some problems in an earlier match we covered. Ross was able to win that game on the back of Monastery Mentor, but still, Ross either needs an Aqueous form to function through that card, or needs to build up a board large enough to be able to attack in 1 turn. Neither of these being the easiest to do.
On Ross's side, 2 Aqueous Form, 3 Encased in Ice, 2 Ordeal of Heliod, 2 Disdainful Stroke, 3 Stubborn Denial, 2 Treasure Cruise, and an Island.
So a lot of really good options here. I think that Aqueous Form, Encased in Ice, and Ordeal of Heliod are all awesome here. And Ross may want to bring in Disdainful Stroke, but it's possible he's bringing in too many cards already. And Disdainful Stroke may not be powerful enough against Brad. A lot of good targets, but he can only afford so many of these sideboard slots, and I think Aqueous Form, Encased in Ice, and Ordeal of Heliod are more significant.
Season 2 Invitational right around the corner. Very important tournament for a lot of players in this race because I think we might actually see the Invitational play a big role in the points, and there's a lot happening that weekend at the Origins Game Fair.
It's going to be up in the air. We got 5 days of Magic coming. We're going to have last chance qualifiers. If you're not already qualified for the Invitational, you can head out to Ohio. Try to qualify for the Invitational, and if you don't, well, we're going to have plenty of Magic to play that weekend with a 2-day $20,000 Modern Open Series. On Sunday, we're going to have the usual, the Standard, and the Legacy IQ. Over $80,000 in cash prizes given out, plus the Origins Game Fair, which you can hang out with as well. So if you're not planning to come out to Columbus, I suggest you do, because we're going to have a full slate of Magic for 5 days. If you're qualified for the Invitational, great. And if you're not, you got plenty of opportunities to do so and plenty of things to do in the event that you're unable to.
And of course, if you win an Invitational, you get $10,000. You get a big old trophy. You get your likeness on a card, too, like Jacob Wilson did at our Season 1 Invitational. He's a Monastery Mentor Monk token. These are available for a limited time. A couple of ways to go about getting them.
Yeah, if you're attending any of our 2-day $20,000 Open Series events, that comes with registration, as it does with attendance in any of our 5K Premier IQs, and that's both at your local store and at the Sunday of any of the Open Series events we run. Also, if you place an order at StarCityGames.com for $5 or more, you'll get one of these tokens as well. But again, every time we have an Invitational winner, we have a new token coming down the pipeline. So these tokens are available for a limited time only. If you want to get your hands on the Jacob Wilson Monk token, make sure to either play in one of our large events or place an order with StarCityGames.com in excess of $5.
It's fun. Ross and Jacob are in a bit of a mini feud right now.
I love it.
Yeah, after their quarterfinal match at the Season 1 Invitational in Richmond, at the beginning of the match, for those of you who did not get the opportunity to watch, Jacob pulled his player token from the Pro Tour out of his deck box, signed it, and passed it over to Ross.
That's not the end of the story.
No. Not
he
at
takes
all.
it out of the deck box, waits till we go on camera,
Yes.
pulls it out of the deck box, signs it, hands it to Ross, and then 3-0s him.
Destroys him. Absolutely destroys
And
him.
you know what? I love that because I come from a different era of competitive Magic where everyone wasn't friends with each other.
That's right. Heel tactics.
And things like that used to be more common. Are we in a competition or are we not? So I love seeing that kind of stuff.
And then Jacob went on to win the tournament. Now Ross is looking to get back at him. And apparently if Ross does win the Invitational, he will be making a Monk token and say, these are the tokens we are using now, Jacob. Your token is gone.
I love the escalation.
I do. I love it as well.
I am worried that this could lead to us having just years of Monk tokens coming out of the Invitational as people try to one-up each other, but in the short term, I really like that plan.
Ross could well be on his way. He has 2 Invitational top 8s to his name. And he could win this tournament here. He's up a game. He's 1 game away. And we have seen him win tournaments before. You think about him almost going back-to-back in Providence last year in June. 1 game short. Oddly enough, what brings this story full circle, the person he lost to the finals, Dave Shields, playing Death and Taxes when Ross was playing Elves. Dave Shields is actually the one that put Jacob Wilson up to passing the token
I was about
along.
to say, a legendary trash talker.
Yeah, he is. He is.
It's a small community.
Yep, a Boston native, Dave Shields. How those Celtics doing? Hope he's watching. Hope he's watching. Nothing personal except it is personal.
Can't wait. I can't wait to go back and watch that one. Like I said, I like when the competition feels like competition.
I agree. I do agree with you. It's all in good fun, of course.
Of course, but are we trying to win these things or are we trying to make friends?
Well, based off the last match I watched between Gerard Fabiano and Ross Merriam, they're trying to win these things.
Yep.
That's for darn sure.
Now, obviously, people should be buddies and all that kind of stuff, and that's great. But I just like inside the match when there's a little bit of rivalry, that's all.
A little animosity. That's all. I played against you at the finals of the Draft Open.
So you know what I have to do now? First thing I do when I get back to the hotel room.
Yep.
Buy tickets to Game 5 of
Okay.
Clipper Spurs.
Yep. Here he is. Here he is. Couldn't be happier as Brad is going to take a mulligan. Not timely.
Hope springs eternal.
Ross with a little bit of a smile here. Looking forward to talking to Brad after this tournament. First Open Series event to make the finals. That's unbelievable.
Yeah, congratulations to him, man. Just a great run, and certainly not playing against people who just fell off the turnip truck, too.
No.
I mean,
He beat Kyle Boggs last round.
Top 4, and that was a matchup that I thought that Kyle 75-75 had an edge.
I thought so, too.
Now you're in the finals against Ross Merriam, down a game. That was a very hard game 1.
Yeah.
And it's so compelling, too, because even in a game like that where it just looks like people are just dumping their hands on the table and we see who had the better hand, plenty of decisions on both sides of the table. How does Ross want to marshal his resources? Brad, maybe it's correct here on the last turn of the game for him to Creator's Claws for short of lethal to cut off the Windswept Heath. He still has lethal coming back the next turn.
Yeah, that play's so tough.
Right,
Just fireball you down to one. And then, all right, I'm going to shut off your Windswept Teeth. I think that's right.
And
I'm
just
not
hope,
sure.
And just hope that, and that play looks really bad, potentially if Ross does not have Tremoka's command, but he has other effects in his hand that allow him to pump his creatures. So, I don't know. Even in a game like that, plenty of stuff going on both sides of the table.
Brad's going to keep. He's going to start with the Temple of Abandon. Top card's going to go to the bottom. We'll head Merriam's way. He's got a Plains and a favorite Hot Blight. There's a Forest. Acceleration. Nope. Draconic Roar. Stormbreath Dragon. Get that thing off the table. Take 3 as well. Thank you much.
Probably not as good that turn for Brad to play that as opposed to Caryatid, but that's a fine consolation prize. Keep the board clean, and you have Stormbreath Dragon, which if you're able to bridge the gap with a removal or blockers, Stormbreath's very tough for Ban Heroic to beat.
Look, there are times where the Ban Heroic deck just keeps a 1-creature hand. This is not the case as Hero of Iroas has shown up. Ross going to search up a Forest, which means that Tremoka's command is almost certainly still in his deck.
It's a creature matchup. It's in.
Temple of Abandon. And a passing of the turn, it looks like here from Brad.
Only getting cut against Esper Dragons in similar decks. Anytime where it looks like there's going to be blocking or any sort of creature combat, Tremoka's command is spectacular.
Seeker of the Way, the draw. In comes the hero. Fallen going to fall down to 18.
How long have you been sitting on that one for?
I'm not really going to answer that question. Seeker of the Way for Ross and a passing of the turn. Here's a Mountain. And Ashcloud Phoenix, tough one to get through. Tremoka's command the draw. Ross is struggling a little bit with the mana.
Ashcloud Phoenix a little bit awkward. The consolation prize here is even if Ross has to trade a creature for it, the creature he has left over is likely to be so big that the morph is not of consequence. But keep in mind, he knows that he's facing down Stormbreath Dragon. That's showing up soon, as long as Brad has no land drop to make. Ross is at 16, and he's going to get hit in chunks of 4. And his hand's a little bit clogged, so even though the monstrosity on Stormbreath Dragon isn't the immediate concern, it's another factor in all of this.
A Prowess trigger and a Heroic trigger thanks to Defiant Strike. Draw a card.
And that's really bad news. Ross, I think at that point was saying, I just need to hit a land drop bad enough that I'm willing to risk taking a turn off.
Yep.
He missed, and now if Brad has land number 5,
Yes, he does.
we might see a pretty short game here of Brad just trying to go to the skies with Ashcloud Phoenix Stormbreath Dragon.
It's funny, this Dragon's deck can be so straightforward sometimes. Play some flyers, beat the crap out of you.
Yep.
Hopefully you can't beat me before I do that.
Brad nearly got it done in game 1 doing exactly that.
It was land 5. I think it's Stormbreath Dragon number 1 now. And a single green mana doesn't mean anything. Yep, here we go. Giddy up. I think Brad can safely believe he's not taking 17 next turn.
Well, there is still an argument for leaving Stormbreath back on defense because Ross might fire back with a pretty big lifelink fueled turn with Seeker of the Way and Ordeal of Heliod's in the sideboard. With Ross not having blue mana, it means that Aqueous' form, even if it's in the deck, is off the table. So there is an argument on Brad's side to just chip away with Ashcloud Phoenix and then try to kill Ross in one shot when you get him to 8.
Sure.
Because Ross, even with stalling on lands here and missing blue mana, he's equipped to damage race. Seeker of the Way can gain a ton of life.
There's Ordeal of Heliod.
While we're on the topic of gaining a ton of life.
I'm going to be getting 13. Fair enough. Let's go back to Brad. He's going to slow down now.
Yep.
Fair
And
enough.
I mean, the damage rate swung so dramatically that now he's going to kind of hang back for a little bit.
Ash Cloud Phoenix on top of the deck. Sylvan Caryatid pass the turn back. 17-9. Ordeal if you 10 lives a lot.
And the 5/5 is big.
Yeah. Have to pump the brakes a bit.
This and more expert insight.
You're just getting warmed up here.
Oh, yeah.
Now we can see if Merriam can work his way through a protection from white threat. Defiant Strike.
And the recipe might just be to overpower it by just making creatures are so large that Stormbreath Dragon is just bouncing instead of eating things.
Rush to a copy of Temple of Enlightenment.
But keep in mind, Brad's got a lot of mana now. He's got 6 in play. Ross is still bottlenecked with cards in hand. And the monstrosity on Stormbreath Dragon has the possibility of killing Ross from a pretty high base.
Plains is what he's found with the Windswept. He's Merriam down to 16. Fallen at 9. See what Ross is setting up. There's already been one prowess trigger for the turn thanks to Defiant Strike. Dromoka command in hand. Do a little math. He might be able to attack here pretty well.
Well, if he gets both of his creatures above 4 toughness, such that Stormbreath Dragon isn't just eating, then an attack is probably pretty productive. You make some inroads on the board. Brad may have to chump block, and depending on how Brad blocks with a Stormbreath Dragon, Ross may gain a little life as well.
There might even be some interest in something along the lines of fighting Ash Cloud Phoenix.
Yeah, Ross has a lot of good options here. I do think that he needs to try to muster together an attack this turn and play cards out of his hand because he's at risk of losing in the air, and Stormbreath Dragon is a concern as well.
I'm gonna fight the Courser. Trigger prowess. Red zone. So 2 damage dealt to the Seeker of the Way. Seeker of the Way has prowess, and of course that means it also has lifelink. This is pretty big. Stormbreath's gonna block something, obviously. Just
Yeah,
gotta figure out what it is.
I don't think you can allow Ross to gain a big chunk of life here, so. And it looks like Brad, by not chump blocking with the Caryatid here, is committed to trying to go monstrous with Stormbreath Dragon.
Okay. So just a block. Seeker does not die. Not enough damage dealt. The fighting may have taken place on a Hero of a Rose instead. And as you mentioned, the Stormbreath Dragon blocking the Seeker away so that Ross doesn't gain life.
Right.
Ross puts him in a rock and a hard place there. Interesting card in Ross's hand. He actually has a copy of a Encase in Ice.
That seems like one of his better sideboard cards for the matchup. You know, as you can see, even with Ross in a pretty commanding position, Stormbreath Dragon is troubling.
Yeah.
You know, it's not the easiest card for him to beat. He can't actually get it off the table. Encase in Ice is one way to suppress it. We kind of seen this song and dance before when the games are about damage racing. When someone stops attacking, it's pretty close to a concession. It's a little bit different from Brad's case because he has the hope of being able to hold down the fort long enough to get to 7 mana and burst Ross out of the game in 1 turn with a monstrous Stormbreath Dragon and an attack. That said, I still think it's important for Brad this turn to figure out a way to be able to attack with Ash Cloud Phoenix because he's got to keep chipping away at Ross to get him in range.
Can't stop attacking.
Can't stop.
As we've said so many times against Heroic, actually. You just can't stop attacking. There's Xenagos. Looks like it's going to plus, play a morph, pass the turn back. Smart to have some different colored creatures out there because of God's Willing.
I was about to say, I'm not sure what the incentive is to play a morph there instead of generating a token, but there it is.
Top card going to go to the bottom.
Although playing an Ashclad Phoenix face down is a pretty big cost.
Without question.
Brad's at 2. He can't afford to unmorph. And his flyers are at a premium right now because he can't attack on the ground.
But he's doing a really nice job of kind of holding the fort down right now because given right now, it looks like Stormbreath Dragon in combination with Ashclad Phoenix and the Monstrosity, and Xenagos providing the mana, it's going to be lethal next turn.
Yep. Yeah, you can plus Xenagos, and that's a bunch of mana. That's enough to go monsters with Stormbreath Dragon.
Here is a Johnny's Presence. He's up to something.
Oh.
Dromoka's Command.
Just another big lifelink trigger.
Yep. This one can't be stopped.
And again, this is just an effort
To keep
right
pushing
now.
through damage.
Keep pushing through damage, and if Brad has a shot block with the carry added, he starts losing a lot of mana.
Yep.
Ross gains a bunch of life.
Yep.
Nothing dies because the Stormbreath Dragon's not big enough. And Brad's board position is crumbling, and Ross is generating a nice cushion of life, and Ross has access to blue mana.
Yeah, that's the one that kind of floats under the radar a little
Right.
bit, is the blue mana he has access to now.
Things were already going pretty bad for Brad,
Yep.
and now Ross is unlocking a good portion of his hand.
It's almost like that temple just kind of slid in there.
Right.
After everything else that happened that turn. All right, now I have access to blue mana. I might have a card like Aqueous Swarm in my hand. I might have Encase in Ice, which he does. It's a lot for Brad to think about. There's a Thunderbreak Regent. All these cards in the battlefield are red, too. Even the Satyr token from Xenagos. So if Ross does have a God's Willing,
Brad's out of cards, too. It's all face up.
yes, it is. I think Brad's just trying to figure out, is there anything I can attack with? Because I got to keep chipping away. If I just sit here, I can't win.
Well, I mean, he's got 2 blockers to 2 creatures. If he attacks with 2 things, then Encasing Ice kills him.
I mean, it might be a situation where he just feels like I can't beat Encase in Ice.
I agree, too.
Yeah.
I don't mind attacking with as much as possible there.
Ross reaching for mana right away. He's got Encase in Ice to shut down the Stormbreath Dragon. That'll tap, and that's going to do it. Ross Merriam is going to win this match and this tournament here in Cleveland. He is your standard open champion and most likely on top of the leaderboard. His friends are thrilled for him. Jake Mondello, Anthony Lowry, Stu Summers back there, and the